Was he playing Liberace? That's the kind of behind the scenes shit that I want to know.
This is the best Anne Francis and anyone ever in the world has looked hungover after driving drunk.
Oh God, Kitty's back and she's screaming again. Wow, guys.
See this? Look at her with these pearl earrings, Ashley Vickers,
Oh
and that
my
hair. It's
gosh.
fantastic.
That's just the name of the podcast too,
The
is the
Ashley
wow.
Vickers Fan
The,
Club
the
podcast.
Ashley Vickers fan club. She's recording. Oh
Splendid. Look
my
at us go.
gosh.
It's happening. After years of
We're doing
threatening
it.
it.
We're doing it.
uh, so, my name is Victor Devon.
My name is Petra Fried.
And audience at home, we will mention you on occasion, but this is really just for us that you get to listen to us talk about it
Yeah,
because that's what we do.
you lucky people, you.
You lucky people, you lucky people, you. Expect a lot of odd pronunciation of things or utterances of non sequiturs because Petra and I share a lot of references.
Oh, sure.
And,
From very
and
specific time frames too, right?
well, even like you lucky people, that's B.
It's
Arthur.
very specific. Yeah.
That's
You all know
straight
what
up
a
from Just Between
madcap I am.
Friends.
Yeah, exactly.
We're looking at the who killed, sorry, the murder of Sherlock Holmes.
The
It's not who
murder of
killed Sherlock
Sherlock
Holmes.
Holmes. Yep.
This is
Oh, I love
episode
this.
one of, let me grab this over here. Oops. And immediately we're drawn into this. God, what year was this? This is
This is 84.
84, September
84.
30th.
Yep. I love, by the way, I love the way this episode opens as a pilot, having this sort of very typical, relying on murder mystery tropes sort of scene. It's a great way to sort of set the scene and then we get to subvert it later. I think it's really smart. I've
It
always been
looks
in
a
love
lot
with
like
that from the get-go.
those. It looks a lot like those ABC movie of the weeks.
Absolutely. Like we don't know who this lady is, but she's been on TV a while. Well, and she's it's so dramatic, right? She's like, "Who's there? Who is it?" And then it's already dramatic. She's in like a flowy silk chiffon coming down the stairs, and
Yeah,
then I can't wait for it. I can't wait for it. The closet door opens, and how stupid extreme do you have to be? It's a man in an executioner's mask and an axe.
yes,
What is this
presumably, and he's
story?
about to kill her right here, and still too long. The director cuts it.
Oh, we've been
It's
fooled. We're on stage.
first of all, that's not shot for stage. Like the way
No,
that
not at all.
there's no way that the audience would see the executioner.
No way.
Um, and immediately, because I've seen most of these episodes several dozen times, it is a comfort show for my husband and I. It was a show that I got into late. I was not watching this in 1984. I was 1 years old when this premiered, but it hits all the marks. But
Sure.
the executioner's thing, it just reminds me of a later episode where she visits New Orleans and she opens the door and there's this
Yeah.
buff man in like leather executioner gear. And it's like, what show is this? What?
She kind of gets into things sometimes. There's a little salacious moment in this episode too. I can't wait to point it out. Uh, oh, and so here she is, Jessica, as part of the refreshment committee for this play, this play
They're
with
the cookie
weirdly
ladies.
dark, the cookie ladies, right? By the way, I have to point out these ladies show up throughout this episode. I don't think we ever see them again in the series.
We never see the characters again.
Right.
However, one of them, I believe, appears at least one or two other times. I'm trying to place it. There's oh, I can't off the top of my head, but there is these shots that are later in the regular opening theme.
Hmm.
The opening credits, which I don't know if you know, Jessica Fletcher, Angela Lansbury did not like the scoring of this show.
She didn't. Oh, I think it's
No,
genius.
I
Of
think it's
course,
absolutely
because we've
perfect.
been living with it our whole lives, maybe, but I love it. Um,
I'm not sure what turned her off about it,
yeah,
but it just did not,
it's very
just didn't
bright,
dig it.
and sometimes the series is not very bright. You know what I mean?
It
Um,
is. And well, that's what I love about it is because I mean, it's one of the reasons that like I love a lot of parlor music and why I like a lot of harpsichord scoring. Like a really
oh,
great
for
example of it.
sure. Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with the movie Death Trap with Michael Caine and Christopher Reeve.
Oh, I've seen many videos about it, but can you believe I've never seen it? Go on.
Oh, we should watch it sometime.
I would.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And it was originally a play that actually looked a lot like what we just saw in that reenactment. But that was very harpsichord heavy. The soundtrack score to Family Plot, the Alfred Hitchcock movie, is
Mm.
very much that. Like I love it. I think it's very it gives me Agatha Christie. It gives me
Oh,
murder
sure.
mystery
It's
vibes.
setting the scene, baby.
Yeah.
By the way, we're still going through this incredibly long montage intro of
She's
Jessica
just getting
Fletcher in
home.
Cabot Cove. She's very busy and important. Oh,
Well,
I have to point out because in this episode alone, I think on three occasions we get to see uh Lansbury's fussy jog as Jessica Fletcher. Nobody jogs like this. Nobody.
nobody.
It's so like poodle on hind legs running down the street. I'm sorry, I love Angela Lansbury, and I know she was really set on making sure that this character was active and vital,
Which is funny
and
because again,
physically
you
fit.
and I we love Golden Girls, and that was one of the reasons that B. Arthur took Golden Girls is because
Mhm.
active, vital women. That's actually
And a
again, I think
literate
compared.
and adult. Yeah. So we forgot to mention that Jessica was at this play and she'd only seen the first scene or so, and then she called who the murderer was on the way out,
She's just that good.
totally stomping on that director. Oh, it's Grady. Oh, we're at Grady. Okay.
So what do we think? What do we feel about Grady?
Well, I think Grady is a player and he gets around because he has about 18 different girlfriends throughout the series.
Including
Um,
this episode.
yeah, she never shows up again either. And I think there's even a comment at the end. Jessica says, like, I want to see you tie the knot in my parlor. And it's like,
Exactly.
did you just meet this girl like 7 days ago, Jessica? Calm down. Oh, and
So,
we're just finding out that Brody has submitted the book that she wrote for herself to a publisher, and voila, it is being published.
and it's a number 8 bestseller, and now I think what is it number 2? Let's see. The Corpse Danced at Midnight, a novel by Jessica Fletcher,
What a
is
great title,
now
by the way.
number 2 bestseller. What a great title. And that's why in a future episode, that title is bought to become a film.
Oh God, Grady's hair. Also,
So, yeah,
we're gonna have to talk about this, but the number of relatives she has is I think impossible.
historic.
Actually, yeah,
Yeah.
historic. I've decided from this moment forward to keep a tally of the relatives that we meet over the course of Murder She Wrote, and we're
Uh,
gonna by the end of it, we're gonna have the Fletcher family tree and all of its subsidiaries.
I believe that was Ashley Vickers, who appears a little bit later, who just walked by,
Mhm.
establishing that she's the boss. Now, this woman talking here, I just have a little bit of a fun trivia for you. Her name is Patty Edwards, and she is one of a legion of old Hollywood actors, for example, that got jobs on Murder, She Wrote, which is very commonly known. Angela Lansbury
Mhm.
loved including folks.
Totally.
She was Flotsam and Jetsam in
No
1989's
way.
The Little Mermaid.
No way. Oh,
Absolutely.
that's crazy. She's on the refreshment committee. She's a cookie lady, and she's Flotsam and Jetsam.
And she's two
Range.
different eels.
Two different eels. How do you sell that on a resume? I'm a
I
cookie
think,
lady and an eel.
and then that would see. So this is what, 1984?
84.
Five
Yeah. So
years
that would have been
later.
before. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I
Maybe
think she
this.
was hired for her cigarette smoker voice. I think
Oh,
really.
fair. Fair. I feel that. Oh, there's the girlfriend.
Yes, girlfriend number 1.
Her name is Kitty Donovan. How murder mystery is that?
It's or James Bond. It's very like
That's true.
noir. Uh, this is one of her very few credits, and I'm not going to
Yeah.
say it's clear to understand why.
Oh, you're talking about Kitty?
Yes,
Well, first of all, the script gives her nothing to do. She is
nothing to do.
simply a vehicle to move plot forward. Um, and she just sits the whole time. She's just sitting there with a goofy smile on her face, and
She's
then she
cute as a button.
overreacts and says, "Jessica, Jessica, Jessica, we need you." And that's basically what she does in this episode. But
I
what a
believe
nice
this is
smile it is.
it's the first hat that Jessica wears, and
Oh
it's
my,
kind of a beret.
a little
It's
bit.
it's a an interesting chapeau. It does not go with the outfit
Hmm.
at all. And this is actually a little bit stuffy and school marmish
A little
for
bit.
Jessica.
Yeah, the
She's
character really
she's
changes.
still she's still a widow woman from Maine before
Hmm.
she becomes Hollywood.
I kind of like that. I like that they've decided to give us a little journey. She's a little dowdy. She's a little, well, she's always a little
It's
nosy.
homespun.
But yeah.
It actually I think it's almost a direct relationship to her playing someone like Miss Marple, which
Mm,
she did, which is sort of like the busybody lady about town who kind of like gets her foot in the door and then solves the mystery.
yeah.
But like even here she's like, you should eat apples. You need more pectin. Your skin is very gray. And I'm like,
This is such a weird
uh-huh.
scene. Where does it come from?
Because now we have Preston Giles, who sets the tone for her trajectory because he bought her book.
He
He's
did buy
going to
her book,
publish
yeah.
it.
And
And
he's quite he's a little smitten with her, I think.
yes, I think he's a good match for her. If
Oh,
things hadn't
sure.
shook out the way that they inevitably do.
Yeah. No spoilers yet, but oh, and then she goes on TV. Okay, this montage of her doing media is wild. Uh
Yes. If if
she
no
it's
pretensions.
savage. She has an opportunist at a book signing. The radio show host gets her name wrong. One talk show host reveals the killer of her book.
We have to play a sound clip when we get to that because the way that she says why she explains why it's all right, who cares?
Right.
It's just like, uh-huh,
Uh-huh.
uh-huh. Um, yeah, these are the talking heads of the era. And
Brilliant.
you can kind of see parallels of today of like the snooty like Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert sort of
Hmm.
like
That guy's a
you're
very
not
Gene Siskel, isn't he? Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is the opportunist who's gonna just sell her signature for money. Hey, it's tough out there.
that's a big book too. That is, I mean, I know it's
Yeah.
hardcover, but
Yeah.
that is a substantial read.
Okay, this is
And
such a
she
weird one. He says something in the scene to her, and I cannot understand or make out what is being said. It's like,
oh, when he wants to know if this is the radio host, if
yeah,
she's we're just
like
dying
a
here.
murder or something. Like
Oh, he
it
asks if she's like had a lover or something. Yeah, maybe you're
it
living
was
with
it was
somebody.
very bizarre. Like, does he think she's boring? I don't really understand what's happening here.
I think so. I mean that's fair. If he's meant to be like a shock jock or something
Yeah.
like that.
Oh, probably. Yeah. Oh, here she is.
Oh, here she is. Oh, wait.
Delighted by the feminist twist.
I, for one, Mrs. Fletcher, was delighted by the feminist thrust you were able to weave into your storyline. That really wasn't my intention. Nonsense. I suppose what I liked best of all was your courage in choosing the pregnant ballerina as your killer.
Oh, I really don't think you should reveal
In
that.
too many of these books, women are merely ornaments.
Now she has a cold.
I think we should stop the tape. I mean, after all, a lot of people haven't read the book yet. I don't think it's fair to reveal the identity
What's
of
the
the
difference? Mrs. Fletcher, I'm on your side.
What a
Exactly.
nightmare. You know what that means? Oh, this is my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
She's signing autographs.
And Mrs. Peabody, Agnes
Hmm.
Peabody, accuses her of stealing her book. Another this face out of a character actor sketchbook. Like
Truly.
she's
She has like three lines and they're golden.
I'll see you in court,
What,
honey.
honey?
And gone. I mean, I guess
Oh,
like this is all just meant to just scare her away so that she has to keep coming
sure.
back to this bus station over and over
Honestly,
again.
which they spent money on. Okay, so
Yeah.
they need to get as many scenes in this bus station as possible, and they
Mm.
do.
And I should point out I haven't yet visited, but many of the on-site locations for Cabot Cove are here in Southern California where I
No
live.
way. Oh, I'll
Yeah.
be damned.
Yeah.
Cool.
There's actually a Murder She Wrote fest. I forget what they refer to it as, where they do like a tour. And I've my husband and I keep telling him that as if you don't know who that is, uh, are talking about possibly trying to go next year.
That's
So
so cool. Fletcher Fest.
Fletcher Fest, that must be it.
If they haven't coined it that, then shame on them.
That's what they
It's
must
too
do.
easy. Okay, we got Giles. Is that a name, Giles? The
Preston
publisher.
Giles. Giles' his
Preston
last name, yeah.
Giles. What a
Yeah.
name. What a name for a murder story. I gotta
It's
say.
two last names. It's
Yeah.
it's a little he could
That's
also
why I
just be
can't
Giles,
decide if his
could be
name's
Giles
Giles or
Preston.
Preston. Yeah. So he's inviting her to his very big mansion for a fabulous weekend since
In the
she had such a
country.
terrible time in New York City. Been there, done that.
Mm.
Um, I like it's funny because in this episode she flirts more than she does, I think, in the rest of the series.
Yeah. I mean, this is a little bit more. I mean, this is so Jessica has recently lost a husband. I don't remember
Hmm.
exactly the timetable, but
Yeah.
it's recent enough where
Hmm.
this is the first real thing she's doing on her own
Yeah.
after retiring from being a school teacher.
I think they even said that montage, that 80-minute montage at the beginning of the episode, is meant to show her being active in her community after her husband's death.
Right.
Another way of giving us some exposition about what kind of person she is.
And we have this
Ooh.
skeet shooting.
Oh, Brian Keith.
Brian Keith.
Brian Keith, of course, Parent Trap fame. Oh my God, and Anne Francis.
The delightful Anne Francis.
So
So,
good in every episode she's in.
an absolute treasure, frankly.
Hmm.
She appears in another Murder She Wrote. Um, and I think when we eventually get to that one, so way down the line, I think that role that she's doing was meant for someone like Elaine Stritch because
Oh,
it's
she's
so
very Elaine
specific.
Stritch.
It's very Elaine Stritch, B. Arthur, and Francis. These are the
Yeah.
types of roles that you would imagine would be sitting in the same room auditioning.
Oh, for sure. Anne Francis is so actually the first time I watched this episode, I just called her Trudy the whole time. Trudy McMahon. Um, I might refer to her as Trudy McMahon
Understood.
throughout.
Many people may also know her from the day the Earth stood still.
Sure.
She is also referenced in science fiction double feature, the song from the Rocky Horror
Oh,
Picture
she's
Show.
in Forbidden Planet. Yeah.
Forbidden Planet, not the day the Earth stood still. Yes.
I believe she bathes nude with Leslie Nielsen. What a hunk.
Who we also see in Mirror She Wrote a couple of times.
Yes. There's an episode he's in and he is really wasted. He's like a ship captain or something and he does
Yeah.
nothing. I feel so bad for him. He's so charming and funny. What is he doing?
Oh, here we go.
Here we
So
go.
he says
Oh,
we're
this
going
is it.
inviting to a costume contest. Oh, should we
Oh,
rewind that
we
just a
should play
little
this
bit?
one.
Here
Yeah,
we
yeah.
go.
Thomas, what is she talking about?
So sorry, I should have told you. The party tonight, we're all coming as our favorite fictional character.
She's so over
I
it.
know you haven't got a thing to wear.
Well, I could always come as Lady Godiva.
Well done.
Famously nude Lady Godiva, of course.
Famously nude.
That's a rant and then this party
Oh,
is full of the worst people in history.
Oh my
Like,
God. This Peter Pan or Elf or what it is,
oh my
that is a performance of a lifetime.
they're all obnoxious.
They really
They're
are.
all so obnoxious. And
Oh,
here
and she
she
just happens to
is.
glide down looking like Glinda the Good Witch.
She's Cinderella's godmother, fairy godmother. But yes, this is very Glinda the Good
It's
Witch.
very Glinda. When she said Cinderella, I was like, "You got to be kidding me with that pink dress."
Well,
What are they
I'm
trying to tell
surprised they
us?
allowed that Walt Disney Donald Duck behind them too. Like that's a registered
Truly.
trademark.
Uh-huh. Also, what is going on? How do all of these people have the money for these costumes? I have been a performer for how long, and I don't think a single one of my costumes
This is
has the monetary
this is
value of these
wealth.
items. This
This
is
is
oh, there's Humpty
wealth.
Dumpty.
Humpty Dumpty.
There's your friend. Yeah.
In that case, I'd probably call it a wallflower.
Exactly.
Oh, stop it.
And of course, at the piano, Bert Convy.
Bert
Let's leave
Convy!
now.
I didn't know. Of course, I know that reference from Golden Girls, but I didn't know what he looked like. I didn't know anything about him. I didn't know
He was
until
the host of
this
Password
morning
for a
that this
while.
is right. I should have known better, but that this was Bert Convy, and he's kind of like Liberace Light in this episode. Tell me I'm wrong. Look
No,
at those
it is.
sideburns.
I know, and it's like it. I don't know how to explain his hair. I don't know how to. It's almost like
Nah,
they took gray
no,
sideburns and just stuck it on the side of
I
his
don't get
face
it.
and said, "Yeah, that matches."
You look great, Bert.
A
Go
little
on
gray at
out.
the temple.
Yeah.
No, I mostly know Bert Convy personally. If it's not Murder She Wrote or Bert Convy, Let's Leave Now. I know him from the Snoop Sisters, which is another cozy mystery series starring Helen Hayes and Mildred Natwick. Mildred Natwick appears on an episode of Murder She Wrote as well. And it's two sisters who are basically spinsters at home who write mysteries, and they keep solving crimes whenever they come upon them. It's very familiar,
Huh.
and it
No wonder.
predates Murder She Wrote
Really?
by almost
Oh,
10 years.
curious.
By almost 10 years. They originally were ABC Movies of the Week on like nights that McMillan and Wife and Columbo weren't.
Oh, sure.
So,
Interesting.
yeah. I don't know if there was like any controversy or something like that. Like if you imagine if the internet existed then, that
Oh,
would have been
please.
talked about by now. But
Absolutely.
unfortunately, I think the Snoop Sisters, while it is on DVD, it's sort of been lost to a lot of history. But it is a hell of a lot of fun. It has insane guest stars like Vincent Price and Alice Cooper.
Oh,
It's
oh,
madness.
I want to
Yeah.
watch.
I have
I
it.
will
Well,
watch
we can
Vincent
check it out
Price in
sometime.
anything.
He does have the best episode.
Oh, really? Yeah. I just love how queer Vincent Price is.
Yes, and
Right?
according to his daughter, I believe he was at least
Yeah,
something.
a little across a little on the spectrum.
A little bit.
Oh, this guy.
Now,
Okay,
this
so
guy.
Brody, they see a flashlight up in
Grady.
Brody's
You keep
room.
saying Brody. His name is
Why do I
Grady.
say that? I
Because
think I have
Grady's a
something
weird
against the
name.
name Grady. What is that? I've never met a single soul with the name Grady. And maybe because too many people saw this and was like, that's a dumb name. I'm not going to use it. um, they see somebody with a flashlight up in his room, and he goes and tackles him, and he turns out to be a private investigator. I just love the tropes.
He's very proto Dennis Stanton
Oh,
before
for
we meet
sure.
Dennis Stanton in this
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
But not nearly as well groomed, not nearly as distinguished.
No,
He
he's
still
a
is a little
mess.
scrubby. But like if you squinted, you might even think it was the same actor.
Right? He kind of looks exactly the same. Oh, and this
So
is
he's meanwhile, poor Kitty has her belly out because she's some sort of Arabian princess for
that's
some reason. I'd love to know which fictional literature character these are supposed to be,
what?
because how would you know?
Oh, poor Kitty. They were like, listen up, girl. You're gonna
So
get the
he's
shit job here.
this detective is clearly here to investigate someone, and
Yeah.
just like by spur of some nature, like illumination, he realizes that Preston, dressed basically like Paul, like a extra from colonial times. Oh, you
Yeah.
must be the Count of Monte Cristo.
Right. Right. This
Must
is a
I?
tell. We have to remember this moment. This is very
And he
important.
guesses it because he passes a statue of justice.
Honestly, how poetic.
It's it
And
is
also
very film noir.
very that. But I also like wonder, how does she remember everything? Everything around her that happens. The shoes that somebody
Yeah,
wears.
yeah. I
Ain't
remember
nobody
you
looking
said
that
that you
hard.
were. Well, sometimes it's a stretch. Like I
Yeah.
remember someone saying, "Oh, I'm tired because I have jet lag." Well, you couldn't have jet lag if you were traveling from that side of the country to the other. You only get jet lag if you go to the. Yes, okay, he was tired. Like, but again, they always confess. There are
So
very few
convoluted.
exceptions.
I know.
They always
I know.
crumble immediately. Oh, you saw through my facade. I must tell you everything, even though
Oh
you're
my
a
gosh.
civilian.
Well, and this episode maybe has the best killer reveal. It's so good. It's so juicy. Um, oh, and Frances is back and she's playing drunk and
As a saloon
spectacularly, I
girl.
might add. I love her. I love Trudy. Bring Trudy
Oh,
back. And there's Ashley in the back. Oh, I have a little trivia about Ashley in the back there.
yes.
She was in the movie Titanic.
Was she?
Yes, and she is credited as woman.
Woman. Oh, woman. Just woman.
Yeah,
She's in many Murder She Wrotes.
a lot. Yeah,
She
she's
is,
very
and she
striking
plays
face.
all different characters.
Mhm.
Wow.
Oh, gotta stop a drunk driving. Okay, I appreciate.
Yeah.
She's so funny.
She's very, she's very, caring is really what it is that she wants people to be safe and she wants to be, and even when like a friend or a friend of a friend is the killer, she's more
Hmm.
disappointed than angry.
Oh
Like she's
yeah.
more
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh, I wish you could have
Ah, you
found another
killed. What a
way.
bummer.
If only you could have managed a different. And now we have a weird subplot here where Bert Convy is an off-Broadway show producer. It's
Correct.
really just to give somebody else an alibi, but the episode
Truly.
does not need it.
Oh, I was thinking today that if this were a 1 hour episode, this character would be totally superfluous.
It's
Absolutely cut.
only really
Yeah.
there to give Ashley
It's
Vickers
just a red
a an
herring, right?
alibi.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I guess that's a good point.
It's something
You do
we
need
hold
red
on to it
herrings
for a
for a good
while.
mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but he again, Bert, he's so flamboyant at the piano in these party scenes, and I think it's because he has again nothing else to do in the rest of the episode. Um, Ashley gets
Yeah.
all the good stuff. She's
Oh, she's fantastic. And she
fantastic.
looks
She is
great in that
so
cape.
good. Yes. She's such a striking woman.
Oh,
Oh,
she
oh,
spilled a
this
martini on
sequence
herself.
is so stupid.
Immediately, Jessica
Jessica,
on the case. We can't let that
quaint
beautiful dress get
small
ruined.
town Jessica Fletcher. Um,
Runs into the kitchen where inscrutably there's just a bowl of lemons.
well, it's
Why are the
decorative.
no in the fridge, just hanging out? She
Oh,
gets
not so
milk,
decorative.
a bowl of
Oh, jeez.
and an
And
egg.
an egg. She's gonna put an egg on that beautiful dress. I don't
And
get
now
it. What's in this
I don't know if
concoction?
this might be real. Like this might be a real old wives storyline. Baking soda, milk,
Milk,
guaranteed to take
milk,
spots off a leopard. I know.
milk.
The curdling enough.
How?
Oh, oh.
That doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe my homework assignment needs to be trying this concoction on a state and see what happens.
And
I
what do you
just
think then? Do you think it's like satin or chiffon?
it looked like satin. Yeah,
Yeah.
it looked a little thicker than chiffon. Um, oh, there's that Peter Pan again. What a what a great walk on roll. Good for them.
And again, Popeye, everyone had like this sparkly devil, this woman
Uh-huh.
in the back with that hat
I mean, the
who looks like
costumes
Mae
are
West.
flawless. This is actually the point when I was watching earlier that I was like, okay, this is a fun party. I want to be at this party where there's somebody playing the piano and everybody can sing along. Everybody's in costumes. Everybody is having a good time.
Just
Uh,
someone wandered through the CBS archives and said, "What costumes do we
that's
have in
exactly
stock?"
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This poor
Oh, it's the
butler.
next morning. I know.
He's exhausted and hates everybody.
He needs more to do too.
Yeah, it seems like if you're going to have an episode that's all Humpty Dumpty sleeping on the couch, not even the couch, it's like a love seat. It's like
I
an
guess
end
it's broke
table.
his fall. Fussy jog, fussy jog, fussy jog.
It's like
Wait,
running
it's
like a gay fourth grader in gym. Like,
honestly. Oh my God. It looks like she's swatting bees or something around her. It's
and she has this towel wrapped around her neck to keep her
uh,
warm.
she's very athletic. Okay.
I mean,
This is
it
what we do in
really,
the 80s.
this is the best Anne Francis and anyone ever in the world has looked hungover after driving drunk. This is the
Anytime ever in the history of the world. You're
her
right.
hair, not a hair out of place.
That
She
lipstick
only
is
had to remove the
pristine.
feather.
That's it. She's still wearing some of them.
I know.
Oh,
Like at the
oh,
very least, I mean, this series, the women, I mean, we think that the Golden Girls go to bed in full makeup. There are
oh my
characters who are
God.
dead that are in full foundation.
Oh, geesh.
Yeah,
She's still in that
I
saloon girl
know.
costume. Jesus. Oh,
She's
Kitty
she
just had
says
her other big moment. She got to scream. And by the way, she screams so loud I had to turn down my volume. Like, girl, Kitty is committing. She's like, you give me nothing to do, I'm gonna show you. She
it's
had
so somebody is dead in
training.
the pool,
Somebody's dead in the
face
pool
down,
in the Sherlock
dressed
Holmes costume.
as Sherlock Holmes. Now we didn't mention it. There was somebody dressed as Sherlock Holmes, and that was in fact Brian
Uh,
Keith,
Brian Keith, right? I'm trying to remember
Captain
his name.
Caleb,
Captain Caleb, the
who is Anne
fast food mogul.
Francis's, yes,
Yeah.
who is clearly having a relationship with Ashley Vickers despite being married to Anne Francis, who
And
seems like a hell of a lot
for
of fun.
I mean, honestly, two stellar people to to bounce back and forth between. Oh, Grady.
And this 80s power suit look, it looks right out of Hellraiser 2. Ashley Vickers in this suit with her hair like that.
Hmm.
It is so of the moment. So who else we have? We have Ned Beatty right here
And Beatty as
as
the sheriff,
the
detective, something or
he's the
other,
chief, I think, yeah.
in this
But
small town.
he's the first detective or the first like crime solver who has to deal with Jessica interfering right off the bat.
Hmm. Oh, for sure. I love the way she sneaks around here. By the way, I think we need to hear Anne Francis's little monologue that comes up because it
Oh
is
yes,
sublime.
it is Emmy worthy.
Yeah.
It's so we have so Bert Convy obviously stayed over. The
Hmm.
gentleman who was dressed, I think, as like Napoleon, he was French Revolutionary, was also stayed over. Ashley Vickers stayed over.
There
This is
conveniently
a
a
house with
doctor
many
stayed
rooms.
over, so they could identify the time of death. I thought that was very convenient that one of the
Very
guests who
clever.
stayed over is a doctor who we never see again, by the way.
Very clever. And Humpty Dumpty asleep on that settee.
Fucking Humpty Dumpty.
Oh
Oh my
God.
God.
See look at her with these pearl earrings, Ashley Vickers,
Oh
and that
my
hair. It's
gosh.
fantastic.
It's
Oh, wait, here we go.
that's
This
it.
is the moment of truth.
Surely you jest. Half the country had reason to kill him. The other half didn't know him.
Not funny, friend.
But accurate. The captain wasn't particularly well loved, though I doubt that any of us despised him enough to kill him.
Except for me.
And Francis.
That's what you're all thinking, isn't it? I didn't kill my husband. At least, I don't think I did.
Oh,
I vaguely remember driving away last evening. And then I woke up behind the wheel of my car at sunup next to the lake. Everything else in between is a blank.
all right.
So
I'll be taking
great.
statements from everybody.
Just
I don't know what to
so
say.
fantastic.
It's maybe the best moment of acting in the entire series. Just have to put that out there.
It's pretty terrific. It's you know what it is because it's you get these old Hollywood actors or these legacy actors because some of them are actually are still actively working, and some of them are clearly retired and getting back into the biz. But the commitment to these characters,
Oh,
I think a lot of the younger cast sucks.
I agree.
Particularly in the last half of the series.
Hmm.
I think a lot of the younger cast is actually quite horrible. In terms of, well, I mean, they changed what the show is. The show is different in the
Yeah,
90s.
I think it shifts. I think a lot of the cast is generally younger in the 90s in the second half of the series. We
Hmm.
see a lot of veteran actors and character actors and senior citizen actors in the first several. The first season especially is full of them. That episode, Murder Takes the Bus. Wow,
Oh
what
yeah,
a great showcase of
wall to wall.
some veteran talent. It doesn't really stay
Which
that way.
my husband wants to call that episode Blanche rides the bus with her second father.
Oh God, it's true. And Linda Blair is there too.
Yes.
Random.
I know, and she has almost nothing to do either.
Nothing to do. Some again, it's just
All
like
these characters,
sometimes we
just
need
shove them all
characters.
in.
I was thinking about that and how every episode, my greatest challenge when I watch an episode of Murder She Wrote is remembering who the hell is who.
I think they do a pretty decent job of styling folks differently, so at least you
Sure.
sort of keep track of them that way. But it's
Hmm.
hard sometimes to remember the relationships that they have.
Absolutely.
There's
Yeah. They get two line
uh
scenes and they clip. Yeah.
in the first episode where Jessica's teaching in New York, one of the professors complains and says, "Well, what do? You have a house. How do you write a mystery? You have a house of six suspects. One person dies, and then they get whittled down. How hard is it to figure out who it is? Like none of these episodes only have six characters.
Oh no,
None of them.
they're chock full.
Now
And
everyone
Brian
thought
Keith is
Captain Caleb,
not dead.
he's not dead, and Anne Francis runs to him, hugs him, so happy, and then smacks him.
He takes that slap really well, by the way. He basically doesn't flinch. Okay,
That's
kind of
for
does.
last night.
And
His
all the
skin is
other
so
last
tan,
nights
though.
you put me through.
Oh, he's
Boy, she has to go through that
unapologetic Lothario.
twice, doesn't she? Poor thing. Okay.
Yeah.
And Frances
that
gets a
second
break.
time.
We see her later.
Yes. I think she's
okay,
just in this first, because this is a two-part episode. I don't think we've mentioned that
yeah,
yet.
two part. This
I don't know if
episode
she's in the
is
second portion.
very much like a mid
Mm.
what's the word? Mini series.
Mhm.
Feels very mini series of that time.
The sets. Oh my God.
Oh,
I
okay. Now we're
love
getting into the fussy details that are trying to throw us off. Somebody's
right.
stealing.
None of this matters.
None
None
of
of
this
this
matters.
matters.
It doesn't. But someone's stealing shit at Captain. What is it?
Caleb.
Captain Caleb's company. See, I told you.
I know.
And he hired that private detective who's now dead to figure it out.
Because he was the one dressed as Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
Now, why was this detective dead in the pool dressed as Sherlock Holmes? And does that mean
Very
that they were
curious.
going after the detective, or were they going after Brian Keith's character, Caleb, because they thought he was Sherlock Holmes? This is the question.
I love the scene. He's basically like telling everybody, "Yeah, I went home with somebody else, not my wife."
It was a different
And we get
time.
very, very judgy 80s looks about it. Jessica is plucked about it.
Yeah. Also, this what are they paying Grady? Because this car is
Isn't he
very
an
expensive
accountant?
looking. He is.
That's
And
what they tell us.
And he throughout the series has a variety of shitty accountant jobs, including working for that cosmetic company, also working for that fish company.
Oh my God, the cosmetic company. Yes. Great
Lila
episode.
Lee. So we
Lila
have,
Lee is a piece of work. Can't wait.
oh my goodness, we get both Meadow sisters in Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah.
So we have a moment of tenderness between Jessica and Preston.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh, well, I mean, I write murder, but to actually witness it, this is her first murder.
Sure. Oh, girl, there are gonna be a lot more.
Just you wait. You're the angel of death.
It.
Just you wait.
I have to give Angela Lansbury props because obviously she's amazing and she's Angela Lansbury. But this episode, unlike some of the other episodes, she really plays unease really well and confusion. And I was watching it and I was thinking, oh, this is a character who's sort of getting in touch with her intuition. And at the end of the episode, it really like is fully developed and she's when she's confronting the killer. But I love what she did in these two episodes in this arc.
Yeah, no, it's
Oh, man.
extraordinary. And again, she was no stranger to character parts, or I mean, she did some television, but she was mostly known for theater and movies.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at this point, she had already she had already done Sweeney Todd. She had already done
Mhm.
Mame. She'd already done Gypsy. She had already been in Death of the Nile as
Yeah.
Salome.
Hmm.
Um, already been Miss Marple. Actually, this is, I think, very shortly after Miss Marple. I think it's only 2 or 3 years after.
Yeah.
Um, and this is the year after she was in Pirates of Penzance. So she was. This is a big departure for a very musical era. But she's also playing younger than I think she often frequently read in those
Oh,
movies and shows.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, in the
She's clearly in
Manchurian
her
Candidate.
50s.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But she's in there's this TV movie she's in. It was probably around the same time called Little Gloria, Happy at Last, the story of Gloria Vanderbilt. And she is playing like frankly old biddy.
Yeah.
And she looked pretty old as Miss Marple too, but they probably, I mean, and that was before too.
She does always play old. In the Manchurian Candidate, she's playing a mother when I think she's essentially the same age as the person whose
As
son
the
she's playing.
yeah, just about
Yeah. Oh, she's so good in that.
so good.
Did you know, actually, she was offered a sitcom at the same time that she was offered Murder, She Wrote. And
I did not.
she chose Murder, She Wrote. And I'm trying to find what that was called. It was something really awful sounding, to be honest. Um,
I know she was not the first choice for this.
oh, really?
No, I want to say Doris Roberts was considered,
Oh, I mean, she's great,
um, who most would know as Raymond's mom on
of
Everybody
course.
Loves Raymond.
Yeah. Did you ever watch that show?
I don't like Ray Romano, so not often.
Yeah.
I believe it came across every now and then, but
Yeah.
no. I felt that was one of those series that had a great supporting cast, and I just didn't like the lead.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's fair. I also I liked how small the show was, but I got so antsy because they never went anywhere but that stupid living room and kitchen. It was very theater.
Yeah.
Everybody
I mean,
Loves
at
Raymond.
least
I think it'd
in
be
Married
fun
with
to see
Children,
live,
they went to the shoe store every once in
right?
a while.
Once in a while. We're back at the train station. Also, I love that they love to show her making friends with everybody. Like she knows about this guy, this strange engineer's child going to college.
She is there's this behavior pattern which I think has been lost a lot in because of the fear of the stranger and people just wanting to be left the fuck alone. Where she is interested in everyone she meets and she learns their names and she talks to them like they're real people.
Hmm.
And it's a very old-fashioned way of being, I think, but it never
Yeah,
comes across as condescending. Well, very rarely, I should say. But and it feels like she's just genuinely interested.
yeah.
And it can't always be because she's trying to figure out if you did it.
No, I think the show really inspires like real curiosity.
Yeah,
I love that. People are not curious enough about the people around them, and we're also in our own lanes,
we're
but
we're afraid of getting hurt.
yeah,
Yeah. And she's going to get hurt. There are many people who
lots
disappoint
and
her
lots.
and friends who end up trying to kill her.
Mhm.
um, when we get to the Jory Orbach years or a portion, he actually drugs her so that
Yeah.
and
Oh my
there's
God.
no
And
consequences for that.
let's not forget about Michael the Spy, Len Cariou.
Of course.
He's
Oh,
awful to her.
And Dennis for that
Yeah.
matter. Everyone
Yeah.
is really rough on her.
They're terrible. Um, Grady just got arrested for this suspected murder of this detective
I don't even
because he
remember
was the one that
why
tackled him
ah
in his room.
that's
So that's the
that's
only
not
motive that
even
they have.
that's not even circumstantial. Like
I
that's
know.
like
It's like he
this is one of many bad police procedurals that
truly.
were.
Well, and here's where we get our first go at the trope of the idiot detective cop who is
Yes. Who doesn't trust Jessica.
totally emasculated by Jessica Fletcher, right? Um,
He's a little better about it than some of them.
Yeah, some of them love her, and some of them are real cards.
And like and go the entire series not liking her, the entire episode
Yeah,
not liking her, but most of the time
yeah,
she wins them over.
yeah.
But so
How
the
many times can
automatic
you write that character? I wonder. If you're the writers of the show, like, oh, we have to write another sheriff. How do we make him different than any of the sheriffs who have come before?
Well, this is also the first of, I think, at least 2 or 3 times where Grady gets falsely arrested too.
Oh, it happens so
Yeah.
often.
Yeah.
I think to the point that I even bring it up in another episode how often he gets in trouble. And then we have now we're sitting at a diner trying to figure it out. This is
Right now,
really really clever. Not to give anything away, but this is really clever, this scene, because you really feel like you're with your allies at this table, right?
right, we're part of it.
Yeah,
Because there's
we're
no
all
need
trying to
here.
figure it out together. These are the good guys, which the show does really well. It does really well, like establishing like there's always like a young pretty thing, whether it's a man or a woman or whatnot,
An ingenue.
who's always innocent, who shows up in the crossfire somewhere. There's always a helpful older ally. You know what I mean? And then of course her
Very
many many
frequently
relatives
a former student of Jessica's
all the
or a
time.
relative.
That was their proxy for, oh, we have too many nieces and nephews. We need to make it a student.
Oh, and I don't
Otherwise,
think we've had it happen yet, but we also have to take note when it does happen, the very clearly double actress for Angela Lansbury, because there are shots
ooh,
where they
yes,
clearly film her from behind, and it's definitely not her.
it's not her. It's like it's her drag stand-in.
Also, very frequently when she's walking into somewhere from like a car, like they show a lot of establishing shots of her
Mhm.
entering buildings from afar or from an angle. Yeah, that's probably not Angela
Not
Lansbury.
her. Yeah.
They fake me
Like,
out once where she's putting on shoes, and I'm like, yeah, that's not her. And then
and
hands
then
up, and I'm like, oh, they did
they
it.
said, "We got you, gal." I'm not even sure if this shot of the back of her head is her. No, it probably is.
That one looks like her. But that one I think is.
Oh, is this
What she's
Ashley
talking
giving
about.
us her alibi? I think.
She's fantastic.
Oh, she's letting us know. Oh, okay, can we talk about? Oh, we haven't even mentioned it. The sonic boom plot device in this episode. What the
Yeah.
fuck is that?
To wave away
What?
why no one trusted a gunshot.
Oh my gosh. But also like a sonic boom in the writer's room. They're like, what can we do? I know, a sonic boom. That'll be the easiest
We're
to
right by
explain
the
solution.
airport. Done.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I love it. It's so far-fetched.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sonic
And I gotta say,
boom.
like, Trisha O'Neill, to be continued. I
Oh,
think
we
we have
made
to
it
keep
through.
going.
Okay, I think so too. Yeah.
I think so too. But
Yeah, yeah.
as we come to the conclusion of our first episode here, I want to point out also that at the very beginning, the cookie ladies, that's not the
Yeah.
same cookie lady that or the same friend who helps Jessica get whipped up into a frenzy or get ready for daytime TV. The first one of the cookie ladies is Stephanie from Golden Girls, who Rose moves in with
Stephanie.
and appears in many
Stephanie's
Murder She
mother.
Wrote as well. I wanted to point
It
out
is,
Rosanna
isn't it?
Hoffman. Very
I'll
quickly,
be
Rosanna Hoffman
damned.
is in there. And I
Oh,
say that
she's
because
so.
the credits just rolled.
I thought she looked familiar. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
and she's so cold. Ooh, I love it.
Yeah. So this was this is the second episode of the series, and I think they did have to wait. They did
They
air
did
them
air it
on
on
the
a
same
different
night.
day.
No,
Yeah,
they aired on the same night, I think.
they did.
I think. I
Okay.
think they cut it for syndication.
Oh, maybe that's where that long ass recap comes from.
Right. Because this chop right here, I
Mhm.
think they had to decide how they were going to do it.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the IMDb sheet for this, it lists September 30th as the air date for both
Oh,
of these.
then they must have. Very much like movie of the weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
I wonder if they thought this might just be a standalone mystery
Maybe they weren't sure.
movie.
Yeah.
Because
It
this could be
really
a movie.
works. This is a movie. This
Yeah.
is a
I mean, and they do
obviously
that later. After the
taste for
series
television,
ends,
but
when the series ends, they do a couple Murder She Wrote movies,
yeah,
which
yeah.
pretty much. I mean, again, they're later, so the
Yeah,
feeling is different. TV has changed.
sure.
TV is very different in 1997. It's kind of hard to believe that Murder, She Wrote existed at the same
That long.
time.
It's wild. I can't imagine. Um, 12 seasons alone, and then the afterlife.
Yeah.
God, Ashley looks good. Oh, what a babe. She's so cool.
So we're recapping here.
Yep.
Figure out, oh, Captain Caleb's still alive. Okay, then who got killed? Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I wonder if we missed anything.
Discretion
Baxendale.
guaranteed on
It's
that
so
business
so
card.
good.
I
I
don't know. I
also love
mean,
the costuming choices here. Like Brian Keith as the captain has to be wearing in a
has to
drinking
be.
and smoking room, has to be wearing like a sailor's hat.
It's necessary for
He's
his development.
he's very committed to this role as Captain Caleb. Branding.
Branding. I was also looking around how beige everybody is. Everyone's
Oh,
in
truly.
neutrals, and I mean, Jessica's got a little pop right there with that pink and blue, but it's
Hmm.
a very muted pink.
Yeah. I like how her style evolves over time too.
Yeah,
Sometimes she's in
yeah.
really beautiful clothes. These not so beautiful, but
Well, she's just hanging out. She's just going
she's just
around.
hanging out at the police station, you know. The first of many police stations she'll hang out in the next 12 years.
She's a menace.
She is a menace.
Yeah.
When I was trying to think of what to call this conversation, I was thinking like I actually thought about Jessica Fletcher, Angel of Death. That's like the name, but it felt a little too esoteric.
Oh, we see it
Oh, we're
on the
back.
guest stars
Okay.
list that Herb Edelman is going to be here.
So excited to see Herb in this episode. Not long enough. Gets one measly little scene.
One little scene, but he does appear later as an ongoing police officer.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. He gets his recurring role many seasons down the line, I think.
because this is right around when did Golden Girls air? 84 as well?
85 to 92.
85.
Yep.
So we see, and so the bus episode that Rue McClanahan is in is also right before
Yeah.
Golden Girls, and she
Hmm.
is dowdy as fuck in that one too.
She is. It's actually kind of jarring to watch that episode
Yeah,
and see her.
she doesn't even look like Viv from Maud. Like she looks
Mm-mm.
very, very
She's
matronly
sort of a dowdy, mousy housewife.
and a shrew at that.
Oh yeah, yeah. So Jessica has just been in the car with Giles.
And he's assured her that Grady will be exonerated one way or another.
Certain of
How
it.
can he be so sure?
Certain of it. They're very sweet together. They have great chemistry.
And we have New York Cabby.
What I do like about her is she's kind of secretive. Like he just got out of the car, and once he was out of earshot, she was like, "Okay, this is what we're doing." Like she got plans, she had places to go, people to be.
They're going back to the house, Bayside.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, the yacht club. She wants to
Which
talk to Captain Caleb,
uh
who's so aggressive toward her, by the way, in this scene. I don't know why.
she's, obviously he's a misogynist. He's painted
Sure.
very broadly as a
Oh yeah.
womanizer. And what a hunk.
I don't get it. I don't get it. Yeah.
This series, very many of the ladies' men have faces like feet. There's
They
just many of the ladies' men in this series
they
are
truly look
just
like
not
they've been
attractive.
stung many times.
And they attract gorgeous women in their 20s and 30s.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to talk about the hairstyles. Oh my gosh. This episode is pretty demure when it comes to the hair, but boy, we get into
Yeah,
some real turkeys.
I do love Ashley's coif, that power bitch
Absolutely.
sort of storyline. And they know how to dress a office like
A
a
power
career
bitch.
woman.
Yep.
Yes.
They really
It's
do.
so good.
Yeah.
It's very working girl. It's very because it's not even parody like something like Big
Yeah.
Business, which is
Yeah.
like above and beyond. It's so
Sure.
right. It's so right. It's also very Dixie Carter in designing women.
Oh yeah. Legend.
Ah,
Okay,
Jessica's
okay, girl.
approaching. She's so plain-faced too. Look at like this is
She
such a
is.
natural look. Can you imagine being a leading lady and going out and allowing or being allowed to have to look your age on a TV
Oh,
show?
pretty incredible, actually.
She's gorgeous, but she's
Especially for
got
someone who,
lines.
yeah.
She's very clearly playing a woman her age.
I get kind of sad watching TV anymore. Speaking of hair, when you watch shows that are made, I'd say within the last 10 years even, um, when you're watching a scene and the person's hair is so perfectly sculpted, even though they're just going about their daily life, it's like an immediate take me out of it moment.
Uh,
This is not that, right? Like
Not
she is
this, no.
hustled, she is in the wind, she's a real woman, she
This
is
is on
doing the
location.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
This
that
is
sort of like,
clearly looped too,
oh yeah.
because there's a lot of those. Whenever she's outside, you watch and you listen, that was looped. Which other folks might not know, looping is a common procedure where if the audio isn't pristine enough for a broadcast,
Mhm.
the actor goes into the studio to re-record their dialogue and often to match the mouths perfectly.
Right.
Or they try alternate shots where they're not facing away. But if you ever watch a movie or a show where someone's talking and it does an alternate take and you can tell the mouth isn't synchronized, I don't know why we still do that in life. Why is that still a thing?
It is funny though. Jess, what's going on? Listen, only two people could have stolen the real estate. Okay, now we're into the real estate stuff, the papers, the documents. I don't know. I don't know what kind of documents they are. I don't know what's leaking. I don't
It's the
care.
Maltese Falcon. It's just the Maltese Falcon.
That's all it is.
It's really just to be
Yeah, to throw
so
us off a
something can
trail.
go
Ooh.
on.
Yeah. I was actually thinking about like we were talking about B. Arthur and Angela Lansbury. Obviously, they were great friends, and B. Arthur has sort of famously said that she was quite jealous of Angela Lansbury in a lot of ways, and the types of opportunities that she got. But do we think it's slightly interesting that the year after Angela Lansbury debuts a marvelously successful hit TV show, all of a sudden B. Arthur is like, I'll do TV too. I'll do TV again. And then she has a marvelously successful TV show. What is that? I'm not trying to insinuate anything, but
Well, she wasn't going to, as I recall. I mean,
she didn't
for
want
B
to.
to do
Yeah.
Dorothy, they wanted a quote B. Arthur type.
Yeah.
Elaine Stritch blew it. I think they also read, which if anyone's curious, Elaine Stritch at Liberty, the DVD performance, she talks all about how she blew the sitcom. She blew Ursula too. She got fired from Ursula too. Another role that B. Arthur was considered for.
Yeah.
But
Which would have been quite a character.
it would have been a very different role. I mean, Ursula didn't
Mhm.
look like that when the Ursula
No.
we know didn't look like Ursula until after Pat Carroll was hired. I believe Pat Carroll also was another one like these vibrant, active ladies
Mhm.
of this women of a certain age type
Yeah.
character actresses who frequently would find themselves going up for the same roles.
Right. Right.
Yeah. I was curious, especially since Golden Girls ended so much earlier than Murder, She
Mm.
Wrote. I always thought it was a shame that B. Arthur never guest starred.
I actually have wondered that myself. Or even any of the girls on the show after the Golden Girls. Although maybe their
Come to think
credibility
of
and
it,
their
you're right.
cachet was too high. But none of them were. Rue McClanahan was on the episode before she was on Golden Girls, but none of them appear otherwise.
There's something about Betty White in a later episode of Murder, She
Mhm.
Wrote. There's something. I think she has like a brief moment.
Oh, maybe I don't even remember it.
It's her as herself.
Yeah. Oh well,
And
that might be why.
and I think it's like I don't I think it's not an episode that Angela Lansbury appears in. I think it's like one of those
Oh
one
yeah,
shots. And I think it's like an
sure.
establishing this was a famous actor who died. Here's a bunch of famous people talking about how they loved them. And I think Betty White is one of them.
Oh okay,
But now I have to
gotcha.
look it up because I don't remember.
Meanwhile, I'm gonna watch Ashley in her office. I
This
Jessica's, of
fabulous
course.
suit.
God, she looks good. Oh, Ashley.
No wonder Caleb was all over.
This is a very Blanche Devereaux look, actually.
Absolutely. Even the hair.
Mm-hmm. Lansbury. Saved by the Ring. Um, she's awfully bold. I mean, and we'll see it later in this episode when she gets herself in a little bit of trouble, but even after she has like so many altercations and near misses with like brutal violence and ghastly death, she's like, I'm gonna do this again.
Oh,
What
peering through
is
the
her star
door.
sign?
So great.
I know.
So great.
Big old eyes.
I think that
Every
makes it into the opening credits too.
Oh, I think you're right. Something like it. Oh, this storyline is so dull to me.
What is okay? So she has like a velour top on underneath the jacket.
Mm-hmm.
It's spectacular.
Yeah.
I have a jacket actually very similar to that. I call it my Nancy Reagan coat because she always wore red, but
That's
it's not
blood
quite
red.
as fitted as the
Mm.
McCallum
Also,
Enterprises.
we gotta get a shout out to Ashley's office too. It is quintessential 80s power bitch office.
Yeah, that's every New York office. That walking by the security
Yes.
guard, that's
Yes.
every TV show and movie. And Jessica's trying to hail a cab and is
She just
almost
walks
killed.
into fast moving traffic. What is this woman
This is the
doing?
stand-in. This is the stand-in. Look at her hair. There
This
we
is
go. See?
absolutely. Oh, there she is. You're right. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah. She's trying to
Crazy.
follow the bus, try to follow.
Crazy.
Uh, oh, and here's Herb Edelman, famously Stanley's Spornak.
Stan.
And there's another famous face on this bus as well.
She's unhinged in this. She's
Oh
banging
yeah.
on. She would never be let on that bus. They would drive
Yeah.
away and run over her feet.
Wait, what was that? Let me check this for a second. We see a quick shot of the bus advertisement. What is that?
Something.
The Man on the Moor, starring somebody Castle and somebody Langenheim. Limited engagement. What the hell is The Man on the Moor?
Is that there must be some sort of Easter egg there?
I thought for half a second that maybe that was the play that
I thought Bert Convy.
yeah, is it? Maybe.
Something
Okay,
with the man on the.
when we get to the Bert Convy segment again,
We'll have to
let's
see
see.
what they're auditioning for.
That
I
interesting.
don't think this is a real story. That must totally made up for this.
So she's following Ashley
Following
Vickers.
Ashley, yep. To a sketchy part of town, I think.
Yeah, this is New York in the 80s films, pre-Giuliani, are treated like hell on earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here we go. Anne Ramsey, also known
Oh
from
my
Throw Mama from the
gosh.
Train
That is her.
and from Goonies. Yep. Yep. It's
Ooh,
pretty fantastic.
I have to say, I love this misdirect here on the bus.
Mm.
I love the guy staring at her.
Yes, the young black teen who
Yeah.
is clearly up to no good.
Clearly,
It's excellent subversion.
Look,
Excellent
it's
subversion.
so good. It's written so well, and this happens throughout the series too, particularly with characters of certain backgrounds and ethnicities and whatnot. I think the show is smart and sort of uses them in smart ways to say things. In this
All
case,
right.
we would in 1984 we should be perfectly happy to accept that this black teen that's following her off a bus in a bad neighborhood is the
Hey,
one
this
who's
guy
trouble.
with the earring.
Yeah.
See it right there? Guess who that is? That is Andy Garcia.
Oh my God. He looks kind of cute, actually.
He's adorable. He actually looks like one of the Baldwins.
Oh, he does, doesn't he?
He is quintessential. This could be a scene out of Who's That Girl? Like it is quintessential screwball. That's also not Angela Lansbury. That was definite double.
Definitely. You can see her full on face. You could pause that frame.
They are toughing and they are rough with her. When they get done and they get shooed away, she looks a mess. Like she looks absolutely assaulted
Mm-hmm.
and terrified.
She goes through so many traumatic things like this, and this is maybe the only episode I remember where she's actually shaken by what's just happened to her.
So misdirect, the guy on the bus who was staring
Yep.
at her, was
He's the
following
hero.
her to
He's a
protect her.
fan. He's a fan.
He is. He is. He is
He
known
is
as the
also
black. He's known as the Black Youth, as per his
is
IMDb
that
credit. I'm just
oh
going to
my.
say.
Oh my. So the show was not as progressive as we want. But
Well, they
um
clearly wanted to have the prejudices that the audience would immediately have to
lean
then
into it,
say,
right?
nope, nope.
Surprise,
But he was
surprise. It's the two scuzzy white guys. Yeah.
well, I don't know a lot about him as an actor. He was a lead on several soap operas,
Mhm.
including Guiding Light and Another World. So
Ah.
he
I mean,
made his stamp in that.
he's beautiful. He is very
Yes.
fun to look at.
Don't you know, Mrs. Fletcher? You're a celebrity. The New York Gazette says her book is terrific.
And she laughs. Nearly killed by muggers. And
We
what a
needed
good
some
time.
tension lifting.
What a good time. This show is about levity, if nothing else.
Which explains how the character of Black Youth recognized her and
Exactly.
followed her,
Oh
is
my
he
God.
knew because he wanted to make
Black
sure
youth.
that she was safe. Yeah.
What a
Yeah.
time.
Well, also I would say Andy Garcia is credited as first white tough.
Tough. Oh my
He's a
God. This
tough.
really is
He's
written in
the
the
first
80s,
white
isn't it?
tough.
Ragamuffins,
Oh God.
urchins.
All right, so she's
Where are
back
we?
with her
I'm totally
USA
lost.
Todays.
Oh, and poor Kitty, just falling behind,
She's
making a mess
she's
of
trying to
things.
figure things out.
Yeah.
And they're going through all of the newspapers. I don't even remember why. Like there's too
They're
many
trying to
things going
find the Bert
on.
Convey play. They're trying to find the play that Bert Convey
Oh,
is producing because they don't know where's he getting the money to produce a play.
well, he didn't
Curious.
save his
And
password
we
money.
apparently not. The password is
And
taxes.
he was famous for blowing the passwords. Like he would frequently accidentally say it.
Kind of a waste of airtime.
No.
Good for him. They just didn't want to give away more winnings, so they needed to stretch.
Well, and of course, we must also say that there is a another Golden Girls connection where because Bert Convey hosted Password after Alan Ludden, who was married to
Oh,
Betty White.
R.I.P. Um, so does she know yet that Ashley and what's the guy? What's Bert Convey's character name?
It's just
Doesn't
Bert Convey.
matter. It's
Just
just
Bert
Bert Convey.
Convey.
Um, that they're in cahoots yet. I think she knows, right?
She's trying to figure it out
Yeah,
because he is her alibi, or no, Jessica is Ashley's alibi for shooting
right.
them. So
Buxomdale or whatever. That's not his
right, because
name.
she was
The detective,
fixing
the PI.
Baxendale.
Is that it? Baxendale?
Baxendale.
I think I said Buxomdale, but I like mine better. So
Peter Brill. That's his name.
Peter
They just said
Brill.
it.
Peter Brill.
Yes.
Okay.
That's another great mystery story
hmm
name.
hmm Um, I also love the audition scene that she stumbles upon. It's
Oh
superb.
my God.
I don't think I've ever heard such bad singing in an episode of TV. Oh, see, yep. Uh, have you ever produced an off-Broadway show? I haven't. I wonder how much that actually costs to get something off the ground in 1984. What kind of money do you need to steal? What kind of real estate? Oh, we're going to see the name of the play.
Maybe 50 grand.
That feels right.
Maybe.
Oh,
I don't know. Serendipity Theater.
five,
Yeah,
five,
I don't
five, 4, 5,
I
3,
think
6.
the Man on the Moor, that little thing must have just been stock
I think
footage,
so.
a
Yeah.
stock poster.
hmm
They're like, oh, we need something for the bus. I wonder if there's another TV show out there that has the same bus and has the same
Ah,
sign. Like you see that
now
every now and then when people have the same newspaper.
that's the kind of behind the scenes shit that I want to know. Where has that bus been?
If you know that information, you call in right
Just
now.
tell us. Oh, here she is.
Oh.
Oh my God. Can we hear a little bit of her? She is, I don't know who she is.
You made my love disappear. I was the rabbit in your hat. I was your lucky boutonniere. You played a trick on my heart.
It's very Harley Quinn.
It
Oh.
became so very clear.
It's very Harley
The
Quinn.
vibrato.
Tucked me up
Clear.
your sleeve and you didn't even shed a tear.
Who's this guy, by the way, clapping for her?
I think the financier.
Or
no, he's agent. Is it her agent?
By her monumental capacity for
Wait.
flagellation of the treble
And a
clef.
great line read coming up.
Very
We're
nice.
through here? I gotta be on the switchboard by 8:30.
Yes, I've heard all I need to hear. Thank you so much, Miss Devine.
That means I stink, right? Hey, well, listen, buddy. You know, you don't play so hard either.
Yes, you see, I've had only 2 hours sleep. Whereas with you, sweet thing, the oblivion of Morpheus seems to be a perpetual state of mind.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, yeah!
Listen, honey, sweetheart, come on, let's get out of here.
It's very Leslie Ann Warren and Victor Victoria.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
It's very
Also,
Norma.
I think we are Bert Convy when we insult people.
I don't use nearly as many references as
Not so
Morpheus.
verbose or
I
poetic.
know. I mean, at this point, I've gotten less tolerant and a much shorter in my goat screw.
Who is that actress? She really made the scene for me.
She was in very little else. Nothing else of her. I looked her up because I remember watching this sometime and saying, I know her. No, I
Right.
don't.
No.
I don't. She was in one episode of Aftermash, which was not even MASH, and
Nice.
3 other projects that I've never heard of. Like, yeah, and the her characters are Denise, nurse, and woman at engagement party. Oh wait, hang on. Am I right here? Let me see. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong person. Wait, no. That's Kitty that I'm seeing that credit for. Oh, interesting. The IMDb picture for that actress is names her Kitty, names her Jessica Brown.
Oh.
So I don't even know who that
That's
actress
strange.
is.
She's lost to oblivion. She is no more in the business.
She's the
probably 'cause
featured
she
photo for that episode.
couldn't sing. She is. I mean, that's her legacy.
If you know
her
who that
grandkids
actress
are
is,
logging on to Prime now and be like, wow, there she is. Love you, Grandma.
Who is that?
Ooh, and Ashley has just confessed to working with Peter Brill.
It's a
to
conflict of interest.
Steal the shit from Captain Caleb.
But murder?
No.
She looks fabulous in this silk shirt and scarf
She looks
combo.
so good. We just need to give I think she wins the episode, honestly. Ashley.
You're there for Ashley Vickers, everyone.
You're the one. What a great name, Ashley Vickers.
Ashley Vickers.
But you need to consider yourself happy. Do you think Bert Convy is attractive?
He's not unattractive. You notice he doesn't have sideburns anymore.
Yeah, what happened to him?
I don't know. He's suddenly young again. Does he just do that when he plays parties?
Was
he in character?
Was he playing Liberace?
Well, he's not a fictional character.
Well, I know.
But maybe he was meant to
playing
be
somebody?
He may have been in costume and we never noticed.
And that's why they looked like such fucking bad sideburns.
Because they were meant to look like
they were.
Do you have any idea how many times I've watched this episode?
Oh my gosh. Well,
Ned Beatty
more.
is at Captain Caleb's ship that we previously saw Jessica at, and he's going to talk to Captain Caleb, so he thinks.
I think I learned very much about maritime life from this show, actually. There are a lot of scenes on the dock, on the pier, in boats. Also, the inside of that boat looks like a craftsman home. Is that what boats look like inside?
I don't know. I don't think I've actually been in a boat like that.
Dumb question, but...
No.
Oh, is that blood? Dried blood.
Oh, I have an answer for you.
Oh, tell me.
The actress who auditions is
Yeah.
Sally Young. Sallee Young.
Okay.
There you go. She was in a couple of horror movies, a couple of soap operas.
Oh.
Still not a huge career, and nothing else I've seen.
Hmm.
I may have seen the film Demented. I don't remember.
Oh, I think I've seen that.
It's
Did she sing in it?
I don't think so. The
Damn.
poster of it is a woman screaming with a hatchet of some variety or a butcher knife.
That could
Um,
be any horror movie.
yeah.
Okay, we got cops at the boat now too.
Yes, Ned Beatty has been detained because he's plainclothes.
Ned Beatty. I actually didn't know until this episode that who Ned Beatty was.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
He's not related to the other Beatty, right? I don't think so.
to Warren?
Yeah, I
No.
don't think they're related.
No, he's not related to Warren Beatty or Shirley MacLaine,
Yeah.
as I understand it.
Oh, the dramatics of this scene too. Okay, so
Yeah.
they're gonna
They're hoist the mainsail.
turn the crank. Yeah, I think if this were a 1 hour show, this scene would be much
A
shorter
bunch of
too.
this would be, yeah.
Yeah.
Or if in syndication they made it 1 hour,
Hmm.
they would chop a lot of this. Ooh, there's an arm.
Who
I
could
bet.
it be? Who could it be?
And down he goes. That was a pretty hard fall.
Damn. You know what I appreciate about this is that this was a
Mhm.
two-parter and we get a murder in both episodes.
We do.
That is
We
satisfying.
do.
They are delivering on their promise.
As I understand it, there's only one murder she wrote where a murder is not finalized. Someone's
And it's
attacked,
yeah,
but they're not dead
right.
by the end of it. There's another where we think the victim or a victim is attacked, one of the Lorna Luft episodes.
Oh,
Um,
Lorna.
but she survives. But somebody else dies in that.
Mm. Oh, this is so wild. Okay. Giles. What the heck is his other name? His other first
Preston.
name? Preston.
Preston.
Giles Preston. Preston Giles.
Preston Giles.
I don't know what it is. I think his name
Because it
I think the
sounds like a
actor's
law
name-
firm. It doesn't. It
sure
sounds
does,
like
yeah. Preston Giles and Associates.
Again, everyone's in this gray tweed. It's so odd because it's so not
The
as
coloring is so
fanciful as
ugly.
they will get.
Yeah. I gotta be honest, watching these shows from the 80s, the coloring is not always great. Even early Golden Girls, I feel like the way they shoot and light things is not always ideal. It's very harsh. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
colors look really drab.
I mean, that was in front of a studio audience too.
Yeah.
Like this is mostly
Yeah.
done on sets or on
On
location,
stages. Yep.
but on sound stages, yeah.
It looks great on the location shots, but sometimes the set shots, I'm like, again, it's like early Murder She Wrote. It's like it is the aesthetic of 80s TV, right?
These turns, I think that tells us that wasn't Angela Lansbury in that angle. When she turns her head and you can't see it, I think
this is what, yes.
yeah.
It's just a very
Yeah.
convincing haircut from
It's a
behind.
very convincing haircut.
Yeah.
But I think even the hair is a half tone off or something. There's just something. Look at
It
that.
is. Yeah.
It's just different enough. Oh, there she
Oh
is.
no, that's her.
Oh, wow. Then maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Like I know it's
didn't
fairly
she say that
common.
she used to work like such long days on this series because she's basically in everything, obviously.
Yeah.
And that's why some of the those one-offs where she's not
Yeah.
really in it or she just does a narration scene come into play because she just needed a break.
She was upset with the shooting schedule because they would do 6 days in a row, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And she wanted
That's nuts.
yeah.
She's like, I would like to live my life.
Yeah.
She had a family living with her at this point, I think. Did you know that both of her children went through like terribly traumatic things? Like her daughter was in the Manson cult.
Very briefly.
very briefly, and her son
And
was
before the famous stuff.
yes.
But
Got out just
yes,
in
I did
time
know that.
apparently, but
I did know
isn't
that. She
that
was
crazy?
deprogrammed. That is
Oh my
insane.
gosh.
Yeah.
She moved her daughter back to, was it Scotland? She had a
Ireland.
house or bought a house in Ireland, and she moved
Yeah.
her daughter who was in a cult and her son who was dealing with addiction back home to be with them.
Where she lived with her husband, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that was
Yeah.
all before this even happened.
It would have had to
Ooh.
have been because the Mansons was the 60s.
Hot.
The first kiss of the
Does she,
many men of Jessica Fletcher.
do we ever see her kiss anybody else? I can't think of anybody. Maybe it happens and I just can't recall, but
No, because even the maybe Leslie Nielsen in that one episode.
yeah.
But because he's a former, he knew her as what was her maiden name? Jessica.
Oh God, I can't remember.
Because he calls her Jessie. Oh God,
It's gonna come up.
McGill.
Come up. McGill. Oh, you got
McGill,
it.
because
Well
her
done.
cousin has that name,
Yeah.
who's very
Back at the
important.
train station. Oh, and our
Back at the
friend,
train station.
the engineer, engineer. is back.
Another false start. And this to me is one of the weaker serendipity moments that makes her realize who
I
the
agree.
killer is.
I actually had to watch it like
Of
3 times before I realized what was even happening
yeah.
here.
When we get to it, there's another episode where I actually have absolutely no idea how she figured it out. And I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. But when we get to it, I will say, but how does she know that? Like,
Yeah.
based on, and again, this is all very convoluted. In the previous part, when Preston is on the phone, he mentions the newspaper interviewer and indicates that it is a man that is going to be interviewing her.
Yeah.
She is blowing off the interview now and happens to look at the newspaper and see that interviewer is actually a woman. And that somehow means that Preston was lying who he was talking to on the phone.
Because she remembered that too.
As if it couldn't have been an assistant. When she was running in to get eggs, lemons, and milk, by the way.
And milk to put on satin, by the way.
To put on satin.
To basically ruin Ashley's gorgeous
All
costume.
of this says he must have been talking to that guy, which the detective, which means he must be the killer. I mean, it's a hunch.
Yeah.
And it's a hunch that pays off.
I mean, very luckily there are other clues, right? Like only 4 people knew that the detective was there, and it's not going to be Grady, it's not going to be Kitty, as raving lunatic as she is, right? And it's not going to be who else was there?
But it's still up in the air if the person thought it was Caleb, because one of the key points that's coming up is whether or not they could see across the pool.
I love that moment.
It's so great.
Also,
the whole final scene, or the whole penultimate scene, is exquisite.
Exquisite. So good. By the way, Giles Preston's secretary here, she's on it.
Look at these ruffles.
I think he says, like, get me a plane and have it at Teterboro by the time I get there. And she's like, you got it.
Sure thing.
It's like, bitch.
Oh,
you
wait,
are
here
the one.
You sure? Well, thank you for calling. Jane, this is what I need. I want a charter plane waiting for me at Teterboro, ready to go when I arrive.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Jane is on.
Does not blink an eye.
Also, how much money does publishing provide? Because he has the ability to have that happen like that.
That's wild. That is wild. I actually worked at a company with a man who did PD for really rich people, and I had to once schedule a car for him to go out to Teterboro to get on a private jet to fly across the country. It was wild. Never experienced anything like that before, but I will forever think of this Jane.
Yeah.
Anytime I think about that memory.
Anytime.
Teterboro. Where even is Teterboro? I feel like you know this.
Oh, it's upstate. It's in New Jersey, but it's upstate New Jersey, so that it's close enough to New York, where it would make sense that he has an office in New York and he would be able to get to upstate New York.
Fair.
It's in like that. It's in Bergen County.
Where is his house, by the way? They say the township that this is in, but I can't remember.
Is it
the
Holiday
cab
or
driver's
something like
scared.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
It is
and
creepy.
I will point out also that
Sonic boom.
the
The Sonic
Jane
boom again. Yes.
Jane appears again in a future episode of Murder,
Does
She
she?
Wrote. She
Okay, I can't wait.
does.
If you recall when it is watched, you should point it out to me because
So
Jane is my favorite.
she doesn't appear as Jane. It's the same actress.
You got it. On it. Can do.
Well, we have to
That's
wait till
Jane.
season 2 for her to
Okay.
return. She has a lot more lines. Well, not a lot more
Okay,
lines. She has
good.
significantly more lines, though.
So what is she doing? Oh, she's trying to get into like the gun cabinet here. Is that what this is?
It's not a gun cabinet. It's like the pool
It doesn't.
shed.
I don't know why she's trying to get in
It's
here.
not a
They
gun
never really explain
cabinet.
it. But there are a bunch of guns. Aren't there guns hanging in there? I'm sure of it.
Oh, maybe
Guns
that's where
hanging-
the skeet rifles are.
Oh, this is such
I
a
bet.
beautiful reveal right here. And then it's
So
what
good.
is Preston Giles Preston doing here?
I thought you were in New York.
You're supposed to be on your way to
That
Maine.
wind.
What are you doing here?
It's just that
It's really eerie. and
it's
unsettling.
so uncomfortable.
I didn't
Yeah.
think you'd go away happy. What is it? What have you figured
The
out?
tension in this scene in
I'm
particular
not
is
sure.
brilliant.
It's almost 8 o'clock.
Wait, I love this.
What happens at 8 o'clock?
Maybe nothing.
I love that. I just
So
maybe
good.
nothing. She's holding hope against
The house is
hope.
dark.
Uh-huh.
Where's Davis?
Oh.
I gave him a couple of days off. Look, this is silly.
And he
I paid
is
your
one of the
cab
many
driver and let him go.
killers.
Come on, let's go inside and have a
Sorry,
drink.
one of the many suspects. He did it. He did
Well-
it. He did
What are you trying
it.
to
But he's one of the very few killers
You know,
who
Preston,
kills
you
someone
and I are
and then
standing
spends
about 25 feet
the
apart.
rest of his time
That's the
acting
same
as if
distance
nothing
the killer
happened.
was from
Yeah.
Sherlock Holmes who
And
was
it's
shot.
weird. It's not the weirdest one.
I guess.
I know the weirdest one. When we get to it, I will.
Believe that Mr.
Okay.
Make a thing.
Baxendale was shot by mistake.
He's good at it. I
And the
believed
doctors
him the whole
together thought he
time.
was
I
firing
thought,
at Kathleen
of course
Turner
it's
from a
not him.
distance.
He's the
I could
love
see
interest.
perfectly.
Also, what a great way to
Standing in
subvert
bright
like the
moonlight.
possibility of that
Yes, the
moving
night of
forward,
the
right?
party, it
Which,
was overcast. There was no
Give her a
moon.
love
It was
interest that
pitch
she's
dark
really
out
into.
yeah,
Make him a
That's why the
murderer
costume
and have her
assumed
say at the
the
end,
McCollum was in
"This
that
is too much for
costume."
me. I'm going to do my own thing."
right.
Maybe that's the way they sort of work themselves out of this sort of Jessica Fletcher romance thing, because it doesn't really happen. She flirts and she has sort of
There's
adult
implications.
friendships with men,
Yeah,
but you never see it quite like this before.
we see it with Seth, and we see it. I think we even see it a little bit with Claude Akins too. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
sure. He's a handyman,
Yeah.
but I feel he hangs around just a bit more to make it casual.
The point is, the killer knew exactly who his victim was. Or more specifically, Preston.
I think this is really smart writing here.
You knew you were shooting that detective.
Just for God's sake, you're not
It's
serious.
so good.
With this much light, they couldn't have
Look,
been a
she's so
mistake.
devastated. She's so
Someone
upset.
had reason to kill Baxendale. We know it wasn't Ashley Vickers or Peter Brill.
This is that moment I was
No one
talking
at
about where
the
she's
party
really
knew
like
he was
coming into her
around.
intuition.
No one but you and me
So good.
and Kit and Grady.
I can't believe you're saying this.
So now that we know the
I'm
lights,
taking
it
any
had to have been
pleasure in
someone
it.
who knew.
Why would
That
I
was
kill
one of the
him?
four,
I
and-
didn't even know him.
Oh, I think you did. At least he knew you. Don't you remember? As he was leaving
I
the
can't wait to get
bedroom,
into his backstory though. It is
he saw
bonkers
that brown
batshit.
figure of blind justice. And he turned and he said something very strange. He knew that you were the Count of Monte
For some
Cristo.
reason,
It
I
was as
don't
if
know why.
Something suddenly clicked into place.
Is that
That
it?
it?
No, of course it isn't. There were lots of little things that didn't mean anything at the time, but now I understand. In the cab, after you retained the lawyer, you promised
It's all
that
falling
Grady would
apart,
be
Preston. It's
exonerated
falling
one way or
apart.
the other.
I was trying to
I kind of feel for him.
Oh no, I
Yeah,
thought you
well,
would
because he
confessed if you thought
he
that
didn't
Grady
want to
was in
kill him, but he
lethal
started a
danger.
new life,
Yes, honestly.
and
No,
he
you're
was the
not
only
being
one
honest,
who
Preston.
could have ruined
Not
it
at
for him.
all.
Yeah.
The telephone call proved that.
He just never
What telephone
expected.
call?
Yeah.
At the
Fall in
party,
love.
we
What
were
I
on the
do like about
telephone when
Murder, She
Ashley and
Wrote,
I walked
and
into
I
the
think
kitchen
it
and I
makes it
asked you who was
digestible for
calling.
us.
Do you remember what you said?
Oh, this is that
Very
stupid phone call
persistent
moment.
reporter from the New York Times. He insists on interviewing you first thing Monday morning. I told him he left for Pango Pango and weren't expected back till the turn of the century.
I'm just going to say it. Pronouns are important.
Me was a young woman, not a man present.
That does come up a couple times. Like somebody says they one
Yeah.
time. They're like, they? Well, I don't know what it was.
On the phone, wasn't it?
It's all coming apart. It's all falling apart.
Yes.
So you're saying the one thing that makes it also digestible for us?
Oh, is because oftentimes the folks that are killed are despicable people.
Yes.
Right? We get signaled very early in these episodes that someone is miserable, selfish, greedy, whatever, and they are oftentimes the one who ends up dead or as a killer. And so I think sort of to confront the idea that murder,
right?
We're watching a show about murder every week.
It's sort of like
it's like a pass, right?
If it's someone who's despicable, then who wouldn't have killed them?
Yeah.
And if it's someone who's vulnerable, you're like, who could dare? Who could possibly be so evil?
Yeah.
So these are our tropes, of course, but they are very useful for storytelling.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they help create what you're then looking for in the suspects. You're looking for the cracks in who would hate him the most or have the most opportunity, or you look for who is the most devious or the most depraved, who could possibly do that to someone so innocent. Because there are a few innocent deaths that are like, oh shit.
Oh,
this
yeah.
poor person.
Oh yeah. There's one episode where a lovely sort of beaten housewife gets murdered. Like, poor thing.
Yeah.
We're supposed to hate the victims. Well, not supposed to, but so often we do.
Well, there's one where two people die and one is blamed for the other, and then it's supposed suicide that the person felt bad. And you're sort of like, well, the first person who died we hated. The second one, oh,
like poor thing.
Oh, we didn't like that.
Oh, I know exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Poor thing.
It's another one where she's a beautiful girl and she was dating a foot. Like it's just
Hey, some people have a fetish, so
I know. And you also will point out this scene is still going on.
I know.
Like, this is a
we don't get these beautiful
these
beautiful meaty confession scenes in 1 hour episodes. It's very satisfying. Okay,
Yeah.
we have to talk about his backstory.
Sure.
It's wild. So he was in business with people. They built an apartment complex. It fell apart and a bunch of people died, and they made him the scapegoat, even though he had nothing to do with the construction. He goes to prison for 10 years or 15 years or something, or his sentences, and then he escapes after 2 years. They think he's dead as a result of the escape, and he creates a new life for himself. This is out of control. They really swung for the rafters in this one, right? Like
right. And not like went into like hiding in like a country.
He's a fucking
he's working in New York City.
Yeah. He literally gives a monologue earlier in this episode about how he's a spoiled man who doesn't have to do anything for himself. I'm like, you broke out of prison, sir. You've done enough.
He paid his debt. No, he didn't actually. But again, we're meant to feel for him because he was innocent then.
And this tension when he's like creeping up behind her when she knows.
We wonder, is he going to do it?
I truly am.
Is he? Will he? Throw in the pool?
Time, a different place, we might have had something.
Excellent cinematography.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to talk to Gunderson. Would you go with me?
First. Oh, she falls
and
in
then
his
she
arms.
sinks into him.
Very much.
Oh.
Grady, I'm not coming back.
So satisfying.
Yeah.
Wow.
And again, even this like little cliffhanger moment, this little bonus little scene here where she's back at the train station and might once again not go.
Yeah.
It really it's a film. It really does come across as a completely finished product.
Sequel up next, baby. That's what we're trying to set up here. Well, and it also like gives her sort of space to roam outside of Cabot Cove, right? Most of this episode taking place outside of Cabot Cove, where people drop like flies, apparently. Oh God, Kitty's back and she's screaming again. Wow, surprised.
She
I really
she's
hate
just
her as a character.
she just feels
Doesn't
very
do
well.
anything.
Fortunately, we never see her again.
Never ever. She just runs in screaming, and that's her job. Oh, poor
It's
thing.
interesting you mentioned their being outside of Cabot Cove, because as much as I think of the first season being very Cabot Cove heavy,
Sure.
she's not in Cabot Cove in a lot of key
No.
episodes.
Yeah.
She
It's
goes to
almost like
Hollywood to
every
stop
other
the
episode.
movie.
Yeah.
She has that whole thing with where the dog is the suspect. She teaches a class at a college where
Yeah.
with the younger man who's obsessed with her. Like
Mhm.
there's a lot of
That is a weird episode.
yeah.
That is an uncomfortable. She's also kind of a bitch in that episode. I just want to throw it out there. Something to look forward to.
I
She
said, would she lie to him?
in that episode, this guy is like, "I want to take your class," and she's like, "You shouldn't take my class. You don't belong here." I think she does say something like that to him. And
That's
I'm
it.
like,
That's in a
okay.
future one. That's when she starts her regular professorship. The
Oh, when she
first
has like a
season,
series class,
she's just doing like a guest spot. Like again,
as she would. Yeah.
and since my husband is in academia, he's like, "Yep, no reason that she should have any authority to teach any of this subject
Yeah.
or any." Like, and then of course, like there are people who are like there are people in that class who are like I think this is the beginning of season 4 or 5, and they're like, "Why should we listen to you? You're a writer. You're like you're talking about Polonius. Like you're like this is criminology." And you're like, "Yeah, actually, come to think of it, like it's an interesting twist on
Right?
the notion." But are you qualified for this as a former English teacher?
I don't know,
Elementary, I
Jessica.
believe. Maybe
You
high
seem to
school.
get
She was high
she
school.
seems to get her feet in the door in a lot of places where she really shouldn't be.
I know. I mean, to
But
just
we love
him,
her for it.
just what comes up, we have the hurricane episode where a man shows up pulling her weeds, so to speak, in
Hmm.
Cabot Cove. Then we move on to the great Conway crossdresser episode.
Oh, which is wild that was the third episode of the series, right? Like Drag Queens, episode 3, 1984. Well done.
Very, very
Okay.
heterosexual drag
Yeah.
queens.
Yeah.
Like they have to make it so abundantly clear that all of these
Yeah.
female impersonators are very straight. And that's interesting considering the gay fandom of Murder She
Yeah.
Wrote,
Yeah.
and how it lives in like the same ephemera as something like the Golden Girls and Soap and other things that are very
Hmm.
queer.
Sure.
While several actors are gay, we have Cesar Romero, we have Van Johnson, not a gay episode among them.
Not a single one.
And
I
there are
can't even
several
think of.
episodes where it would be very, very clever if they had
Yeah.
gone in that direction.
Yeah. Yeah. They decided to go other directions, I suppose.
Yeah.
Fine.
And I don't know if that
Whatever.
was CBS, if that was
Pacifica.
I
I
mean,
think it could have something to do with it, sure.
yeah. I mean, it's sort of hard to show because if you look up most sitcoms, like if you type in Cheers gay episode or Murphy Brown gay episode, there is one in
Hmm.
almost everything. And I know this is a
Hmm.
drama more often than not.
Yeah.
A comedic drama, but a drama all the same.
Yeah.
It's odd that there's not. Again, considering there were, I mean, Cesar Romero is out and he appears twice
Hmm.
in the series.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he plays ostensibly a heterosexual. So, yeah. Yeah.
Well, she
Some
will
good
be
stuff
my queer
coming.
icon. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
as a just a curiosity, do you remember when you first watched Murder She Wrote and why
oh,
it became a thing?
I'm sure it was sort of along the same lines as the Golden Girls, being like a young, maybe 8 to 10 year old with my parents or grandparents. I do remember watching Murder She Wrote with my grandmother, um, who actually kind of reminds me of Jessica Fletcher in a lot of ways, just very put together, very coiffed, very stylish, same haircut even, tall, patrician. And so so I really associate a lot of these shows, Golden Girls and Murder She Wrote, even like Xena Warrior Princess, I used to watch with my grandmother. She was so fucking cool. And so I think that's the initial pull of the series. And then the more you watch it, the more brilliantly it's written. And I just get gagged every time I think about there are 12 seasons of this with like 23 episodes per season, obviously give or take
And then
a
a couple
few.
of movies. Yeah.
Yeah, just a remarkable output of work and remarkable showcase for Angela Lansbury, who is I loved from Bedknobs and Broomsticks, and so it was just, which was kind of a knockoff Mary Poppins. I later learned. Did you
I
know
mean,
that?
it
Yeah,
has a relationship with that. I mean,
yeah,
if you think about it, a lot of the Disney movies, I mean, a lot of Disney movies involve witchcraft and sort of supernatural forces, often
yeah,
in the shape of a non-compromising woman, which is kind of
absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah,
And I think one of the reasons that Disney gets so much pushback from conservatives actually is because a lot of it, even the ones that are where the women are sort of represented in not the most progressive light,
yeah,
they still have a lot of agency. I
sure,
mean, even possibly more agency than they should as 14-year-old princesses. So,
sure. Yeah, probably by far. Yeah. How about you? When did Murder She Wrote enter your life?
late.
Hmm.
I remember it always being on.
Yeah,
I remember it always being a part of my life, and I remember distinctly. I don't know why I remember this, but I remember watching the Emmys because just Angela Lansbury famously never won an Emmy for Jessica Fletcher, Murder She Wrote.
crazy. Yeah,
Nominated every year. Um, and if you look at what was on, like, I mean, she lost to people where it makes sense still. I
sure,
don't have a name off the top of my head, but
absolutely.
even if you look at like um the Golden Girls and why they only won once each when others could have, like Candice Bergen was sort of unbeatable at a certain
Hmm.
point.
Yeah,
Um, and then you have look at some show like Designing Women, none of them ever won. So like, and these are like monoliths of
hmm,
our icons of our lives. But in terms of Murder She Wrote, I was drawn into it as a young adult, where pretty much in this through the repeats on TV,
hmm.
through the Hallmark Mystery Channel and the and things like that, because they would do them in long marathons. They were very easy, and I recognized a lot of the cast, and that was entertaining to me.
Yeah,
Um, I think it was just a little too adult for me because again, I was born in '83, so even though it existed through most of my life up until the mid '90s, um, it was more mature than what was really going on
sure.
in my household because I was
Yeah,
most of my TV watching was influenced by my sisters because they had the remote. So I remember watching
very
a
in
lot of
charge.
sitcoms. I remember watching The Simpsons. I remember watching Roseanne. I remember watching Married with Children. I remember watching a lot of half-hour sitcoms.
Yeah,
Never got into Matlock, never got into Murder She Wrote, never got into any of the hour-long
hmm,
dramas
yeah,
until I was ready to, and then I committed.
totally. Yeah,
And it was one of the first things, not the first thing, but one of the first 10 major things that my now husband and I basically talked about and realized we had in common, and then became
mm,
a central part of our life together because it is one of the main shows that we go back to. And I mean on a daily basis.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. We are watching at least 1 to 2 episodes of Murder She Wrote every 3 or 4 days, if not more frequently.
yeah, yeah. I feel
And
that.
when we do watch it, a lot of times we're watching 4 or 5.
Oh, let it
Yeah.
run. Yeah,
Yeah.
same.
So, and there are episodes he's a little bit more unkind than I am about some of them because he also views it from a very specific mindset, which is also
Sure.
literary. Like some of the
Yeah.
writing he
Oh, it gets a little crunchy for
it
sure.
gets, and I absolutely agree that sometimes it's a bridge too far. But
Hmm.
I'm a little bit more forgiving because I also am a convoluted mystery enjoyer. My favorite genre is mansion murder mystery.
Oh, is it?
It
I
absolutely is.
love
It's my
that.
favorite film
Okay.
is Clue. My favorite film is Clue. I love 10 Little Indians. I love
Mm.
a secluded island where people can't get off, or an island episode, or an episode where they're stuck in a room and people are pinned off. Yeah, I love them. They're my favorite.
They're great. Such character
And
opportunity. Yeah.
yes, yes. And also like that was the thing also is like I didn't understand when I was watching Clue, which was filmed in 85.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing that that Murder She Wrote came out about a year before Clue. But I didn't know the difference between those actors playing characters from 1954 and actors actually being in a movie from 1954.
Wait.
I just thought that's how old the movie was.
Oh my gosh.
I just thought it was, I mean, what did I know?
I mean,
It
Tim
says
Curry
at the
is very
beginning,
prolific.
New England, 1954, at the beginning
Yeah,
of
yeah.
Clue. Why would I think that wasn't when it was filmed?
As a
Yeah.
kid, you just understand
Yeah.
that's the way things are.
And I
Absolutely.
remember being told, like, no, that's not how that works. And then I started, and then you see actors in different things. But I mean, that alone was one of the first real media that really grabbed me. So I was always predestined to
Sure.
love Murder She Wrote.
Yeah.
And I do love
Yeah.
Angela Lansbury a great deal.
Yeah. Me too. Obviously, I love Sweeney Todd. I would die for that musical. I think it's so fantastic. And even though I think she is way out in left field in that musical, I think she's superb.
Yeah. Oh, I just forgot to say. So what I remembered from the Emmys that she never won. There was one time where they had all of the actresses that were nominated in those squares.
Yep.
While the person opened the envelope.
Mhm.
I distinctly remember she had either hosted or she had done something recently because she was waiting in the wings and she was there and she was smiling and she loses to someone else and she just smiles and nods and does like a congratulations to that person. Yes, that's how it should be. And for some reason, that always sticks in me in such a specific way of like, what a mensch. Like that's so, yeah.
What a classy dame.
What a classy broad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
with a mouth like a longshoreman.
Body raunchy.
Folks at home, if you have not listened to B. Arthur on Broadway, the original recording of her one-woman show, she tells delightful anecdotes, including one about Angela Lansbury. Well, this has been a pleasure. I think
this has been really fun. Yeah.
So this is just to put it out there, it was sort of just rough and tumble. We didn't have. I mean, I know we talked about things we would talk about.
Yeah.
The types
we don't
of things
really have
that
a
we would talk about.
plan. Just
we don't have a name yet.
We don't have a name. It didn't.
Nothing came to light. Nothing came to mind.
Yet. The edit will reveal what the name it turns out to be.
Evidently.
Right.
Damn. Yeah. To be fair, though, while we were watching, I wasn't really thinking about that, so nothing really jumped out at me. Yeah.
The only thing that really sticks to me is that Kitty Donovan sucks and needs to go home.
And Ashley Vickers is
queen. Yeah, she's the one. That's just the name of the podcast. Ashley Vickers.
The Ashley Vickers fan club podcast.
The Ashley Vickers fan club.
That certainly would be one way to play with.
That might have to be the subtitle.
That'll be this will be this episode title.
Right, exactly.
The Ashley Vickers online fan club.
I like how we're referring to her character, not even that poor actress.
I know. Trisha
O'Neill, I think.
Trisha O'Neill.
Yes, Trisha O'Neill.
The Queen You Are. Also known as, she was on Star Trek too.
Yeah, she was a captain on that show, I think.
Yeah.
Of course, I'll always remember her as Woman in Titanic. So.
I can't find a photo of her. I did a quick cursory look. I can't find her, so I don't know. And you know what?
She never even got some screen time.
There's a lot of women in that movie because they were first on the wave.
They sure were.
It's also been a minute.
That 30-minute sequence where they're loading in the boats. Yeah.
My God, I can't imagine. I'm just curious on the credits, like what out of the I don't know, 150 people listed for that film, what number she is.
She's 1,542nd on the call
Oh.
sheet, right? Poor thing.
If only they had done it in
Oh.
appearing order, then I'd be able to figure it out.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
it's been a
Ashley
pleasure.
Vickers, we love you, and this
We
has been a
do.
pleasure.
And I believe, I mean, as many stars of Murder She Wrote have unfortunately come and gone, she is still with us. So Trisha O'Neill, if you found us somehow, if you have that Google alert, you call in and you let us know how you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. We want to give you your proper kudos.
And I want to hear you say, Lady Chatterley. We'll get to that one. We'll get to that one. It's that one where she also throws a champagne bottle against the wall. It's pretty great. It's pretty great.
The drama.
So good.
Okay.
And that's a Jerry Orbach episode too.
Oh, I love Jerry Orbach.
All right, darling. Well, what a pleasure.
What a pleasure.
I don't have a sign off. I don't know what
I don't either. I don't know what to say other than I'm petrified.
I'm Victor Devon.
And this has been
our
Ashley
little Murder
Vickers
She
is
Wrote
the one.
podcast.
Sounds great.
Spectacular.
Okay. Until next time.
Remember, executive
Careful
producer,
royalties.
Angela
Yeah.
Lansbury.
That'll work.
Oh, and that's the other thing too. Don't forget, on almost it happens almost all the time, but there are a few outliers. The final moment where it freezes and it says the executive producer name, it's almost always on Jessica. There are very few ones that don't, and when they don't, it is very purposeful and it's awesome.
I love the petty.
So good. All right, darling.
All righty. Mwah.